Warning, this video is not targeted to kids and may be inappropriate to younger audiences. Your discretion is advised. Alright, hello dudes and dudettes, it's your favorite reject gamer Mix17 here, and I am back once again for another Subnautica episode. Of course, we're continuing on with our Let's Explore series, which is not starting off strong since now we are into the third episode, and I'm still reading. Yeah, so once again, like I have said beforehand, the Let's Explore series, I am starting off by reading all the data entries that I have collected, and basically it is just about every single one of them. And I'll even explain where to find them if I can remember them off the top of my head. And of course, I have the phone right next to me to tell me whether or not I am correct about this. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Now then, last time we left off on the final thing, which was the warper parts on scan data, which I ended up being able to finish off completely for the final entry of last episode. So today, under category of alien data, terminal data, we will be going over all the terminal alien data that is available to us in the world of 4546b. So, let us start with alien biological history. This terminal contains data mapping the complete biological history of a member of the alien species. The dataset is hugely complex, but some basic facts can be reconstructed. Was grown from seed 1,708 Earth years ago, separated from broodlings early for special training, inducted into Temple of Research as the youngest ever initiate at age 96. What? Downloaded a corrupted data set and was stored for 3 years for refactoring. Relocated to the outer galaxy cluster to support disease research endeavors. Relocated to 4546b for high priority disease research. Contracted Karar bacteria stored in Sanctuary 3 corporeal body safely disposed. Huh. That's interesting. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this data entry specifically you get from the alien caches, I mean. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this one specifically is in the Sparse Reef cache. Yeah, I think so. If not, it might be in the, what's it called? Lost River cache. Yes, one of those two. I'm more than sure it's the Sparse Reef though. Anywho, moving along. Or you know what? No. I think this one might in fact be from the Dunes biome, which is a very dangerous place, which of course I'll be going on later on in the series. Let me also, should have done this a little earlier, but also quickly scanning through this whole thing. Where am I? Oh no, I'm still too far away. Research equipment, I don't think I'm right there yet. No, I mean, I passed that already. War parts, here we go. This one you actually get from, oh shoot, I was correct. The Dunes Sanctuary. Good luck with that. Because that's actually in, I'm not going to spoil that just yet. All I can tell you is that it's a very obvious location that you will be able to see it. However, it's a very dangerous place to go to, so I highly recommend to be very careful if you ever do plan on going there. Moving along. Alien Data Terminal. Discovered inside an alien facility, it was not possible to translate any useful information. However, scans have returned some information on the device itself. It is likely a solid-state computer, although there is no clear way to interface with it. On approach, it began producing a low-frequency radio wave containing complex but recognizable data patterns. It is likely an alien species which designed this technology, evolved or genetically selected sensory apparatus to hear, quote unquote, that, and understand the information being broadcast by the device, and to communicate back. The mental processing power required to perform this kind of telepathy would imply that the designers were considerably more psychologically developed than the common human. Assessment. Further research required. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this one you get from the Quarantine Enforcer unit. The Quarantine Enforcement unit? One of those two. Basically on the island. Just northeast. Yes, northeast. Or is it north? One of those two. Northeast. One of those two. Somewhere close there. Anywho, moving along. Alien Sanctuary Alpha. Architectural information has been downloading regarding this Antec chamber, I think. Ceiling fixtures. The structures mounted to the ceiling of the cavern cast a low green light over the data hubs below, but there are also regulating the pH level of the surrounding water and emitting a low-frequency sound wave. It is possible the intent was to ensure ideal conditions for a practical end, but their purpose may have also been ceremonial or even recreational in nature. Aesthetics, I think that's how you pronounce it. Ornate in design, the cubes mounted on the pedestals are not being drained of power, suggesting they serve more symbolic purpose. Similarities to old Earth religions, ionography, may be coincidental, but they may also indicate some shared and ancient cultural history. I am struggling at this point. I believe this one is found within one of the caches. This one, I am pretty sure it is in the Sparse Reef cache. There we go. So, yeah. Sure. Anyway, again, not going to go over all that information until until future episode. Alien Sanctuary Beta. This Antec chamber consists of a series of data hubs which adorned with an odd cube these are networked up to the mainframe terminal in parallel, presumably to ensure data integrity over time. Unprecedented data complexity. Stored data was scanned into the system at the local terminal. Original data source was organic in nature. That's a strange one to say. Whatever. Evidence suggests that this Antec chamber served as a sanctuary of last resort for the aliens that built it. In the event of a catastrophe, they would retreat here and somehow transfer themselves to the data hubs for preservation. It is unclear whether whether other members of the alien species ever returned here, or how many souls are backed up on the hubs. But the data stored is far too complex to reconstruct the little information available. Ooh, I got some. Hold on. Sorry about that. I got some back in my throat. This one you find in the Northern Blood Kelp Sanctuary. There we go. Damage report. This one, I can already instantly tell you, this is found within the disease research facility in the Lost River. This is in one of the terminals. I'm not entirely sure which one. I'm pretty sure it's the main one that isn't talking about the Karar or anything else. Anywho, damage report. Leviathan detected at facility perimeter, closing at high speed. Exterior anchor cable impact with massive force. Exterior anchor system buckling. Facility sinking. Collision with sea floor. Breaches detected in Containment Unit 7, Leviathan eggs. Immediate specimen deconstruction protocol imminented. 314 species destroyed, 1 species unaccounted for. Evacuating staff to off-site sanctuaries. Planetary quarantine protocol initiated. Warning, infected individuals may not leave the planet. Okay, so, as mentioned before, this was found within the actual disease research facility, where, of course, the sea dragon Leviathan crashed into it, and, of course, I think, actually I won't mention that because it's mentioned later on, but yes, this basically is what is, in theory, what spread the Karar, because technically the Karar bacteria is an off-world bacteria. So, yeah. However, one thing that really made me interested out of everything was one thing. One specimen unaccounted for. What could that possibly mean? In all understanding, when it comes to that 314 specimens, I have seen the skeletons and the preserved bodies within that facility. So one specimen to be unaccounted for would have to mean that it was from a specific chamber or a specific casing, observatory's casing, that is broken, which I have seen before. There are multiple cases that are broken, so I'm really questioning what is this one specimen. That's going to bug me for a little while. Anywho, moving along. Enforcement platform schematic. That's a strange thing, alright. This data set appears to be a multi-dimensional schematic of some kind. By mapping the pattern to three-dimensional space, it is possible to gather a basic understanding of this facility's internal workings. Construction material. The facility's unknown construction material is identified as an ultra-hard, non-reactive metal amalgam, there we go, I always struggle with that word, synthesized from off-world materials. There is no indication that can be damaged. There's no indication that it can be damaged or destroyed by available means, and yet surprisingly it can be destroyed by the force of a sea dragon Leviathan. Keep in mind, it's not even a full-size adult Leviathan. Let that sink in for a second. Moving along. Power. The schematic indicates the facility was to be empowered by a separate, self-sustaining power plant located elsewhere on the planet. The location is not listed, but there is evidence the designers intended to harness the planet's natural thermal energy. Layout. The facility consists of an upper engineering section where this schematic was found, and the control room, which is accessed via a security-sealed elevator shaft, or a separate underwater moon pool. Control. The control room in the lower section houses the only known way to interact with the facility. However, the schematic does not detail the operation procedure or installed security measures. Okay, so obviously, by obvious manners, this is actually a terminal data that you collect from the terminal. I'm saying terminal a lot. From the quarantine enforcement platform, as it's called, which is found, of course, in the in the island that's northeast of where you spawn. North to northeast. North. I keep saying north to northeast. North to northwest. I keep forgetting about that. Moving along. Enzyme 42 project data. According to translated data logs, an indigenous Leviathan species was found to produce a unique substance referring to as enzyme 42, which inhibited the symptoms of the Karar bacteria infection in the indigenous organisms. The specimen was captured and contained in a purpose-built habitat for further study. The alien researchers went to great lengths to provide for the lifeform's environmental needs, including an import of interdependent flora and fauna via an on-site warp gate. However, its health quickly deteriorated. When quarantine was imposed, all warp gates and force fields were sealed. All attempts to develop an enzyme into a vaccine had been unsuccessful. This data you get from the terminal in the primary containment facility, which I am correct. You do actually get that from the primary containment facility, so have fun with that one. Moving along. Fauna reproductive data. I remember this one specifically because this is one of the data I tried my hardest to try to find, and it was in one of the most easiest places to find. I'm still a little angry with myself about this. This you get from collecting a terminal data within the Lost River cache. That's it. That's where you can find it. Moving along. Fauna reproductive data. Extensive alien research data on the local fauna with a special focus on their reproductive methods. Core conclusions have been synthesized. The aliens discover the life forms on the planet just have one sex. They observe local organisms engaging in asexual reproduction. All healthy individuals tested were capable of egg laying. Eggs usually require genetic material from another of the species. In rare case, only one parent was required, with the evolutionary mutation introduced by the effects of the environment itself. Research appears to have been focused around hatching conditions and genetic variations between parent and child. So yeah. Fossil data. This one, if I'm not mistaken, you collect by just either scanning any of the fossil remains, or you just come to the Lost River, which then gives you this data, or you actually get this data. Oh wait, no, this is all terminal data. You're not supposed. Okay, let me check. Okay, I take back everything I said. So apparently, you actually collect this data from the alien thermal plant. So yeah, that's quite a trip. Fossil data recorded from the volcanic rock from the volcanic rock that was excavated to construct the alien power facility. It has been possible to exploit a number of key trends. Genetic divergence. The aliens recorded data on indigenous organic remains originating between 10,000 and 1,000 years ago. The life forms on record feature an unusually low overlap with those encountered so far on 4546b. Extinction event. Soil samples from 1,000 years ago contain 300% higher concentrations of organic remains than the soil average. Data supports a mass extinction event killing off a majority of species and enforcing rapid adaptation amongst many of the survivors. And you see, that is interesting. Well, as we are... Actually, I can't say anything yet, because this is actually going to be appearing in a future episode as well. So, moving along. Ion power data. This one I know for a fact you get from the alien power plant, because, well, that's where you get it. Moving along. It has been possible to extract useful information regarding alien ion power. Ion cubes are grown artificially from a material substance and are treated to remain a stable state despite the huge ionic energy contained within. By installing an ion cube in an appropriate device, this energy can be released as electrical power. Using this knowledge, it has been possible to synthesize new battery and power cell blueprints which leverage advanced ionic energy to last considerably longer. Carrar contagion profile. This one you get, I believe, from the disease research facility, as mentioned before in this episode. I should probably stop real quick so that way I could eat something before I die from thirst. Because, yeah, that's a thing. Oh, whoops, wasn't trying to do that. And voila. Moving along. Alright. This terminal contains extensive data regarding the bacterial contagion identified as Carrar. Discovery. First encountered during routine network expansion on outer worlds. Pandemic development. Network error resulted in routine quarantine procedure failure. Contingent was uploaded to and spread quickly through the core worlds. Confirmed deaths 143 billion individuals. That is the Earth times 20. Basically. Anywho. Actually, I forgot about that. Whatever. Anywho, moving along. Bacterial mechanisms attaches to healthy living cells and mutates the basic genetic structure. Symptoms. Stage 1. Gradual immune system failure. Stage 2. Green skin lesions and flu-like symptoms. Stage 3. Unpredictable alterations to biological structure. Stage 4. Complete shutdown of executive function. Emergency steps taken. Core worlds quarantined. Bacterial samples distributed to isolated disease research facilities for vaccine development. Treatments procedure unknown until, of course, well, see Emperor Leviathan. See Emperor Leviathan research data, which this one I'm more than sure you get from the primary containment facility. Double checking right now, and yes, specifically in the eggs laboratory. So that helps in case for anyone who's trying to find this. Specimen size has been adjust upward to accommodate this species. 1. Feeding and digestion. Alien research data indicates that despite its size, the species feeds entirely on microorganisms it filters from the water, which themselves depend on complicated ecosystem of plant and animal life, which is that is really strange. Microorganisms for a giant species. Do you know how many microorganisms you're gonna need to feed that thing, right? I think he's gonna have to constantly be eating every second of the day without sleep. Anywho, reproduction. Large ovary-like organs are carried in the creature's middle section, suggesting that, like other species on this planet, it produces eggs. However, internal scan tissue indicates probable infertility. That sucks, I think. No, it does suck because survival of the fittest and stuff. Anywho, enzyme 42. The Emperor manufactures enzyme 42 within its stomach cavity to break down its food, and will occasionally expel it into the surrounding waters. That is awesome. I did not know where it came from. Still kind of don't, but okay. This substance was found to neutralize the effects of the bacterium, and its presence in the ecosystem today would explain how life on the planet survived the outbreak. It would remain to be explained by what mechanism the enzyme is being delivered. Health. Alright, I'm all the way at the bottom. Comparative analysis of size and metabolic rates indicates the specimen captured by the researchers was approximately 1,600 years ago. Extensive internal and external scar tissue suggest it had lived well in excess of the peak lifespan for its species. Assessment. While a healthy emperor specimen may have held some potential of a cure, it is unlikely any research subjects survived quarantine procedures. And that is either some pure dedication to live, or just flat luck, which I'd say pure dedication. Anywho, specimen research data. A catalog of information on the organisms previously contained within the alien facility. A number of entries have been translated. That's interesting. Small herbivore gamma. This entry seems to reference the common peeper. Shows no immunity to infection. That commonly occurs within 4 days. Shows symptom remission on exposure to enzyme 42, but symptoms quickly recur. Shows advanced learning behaviors. Shows some capacity to transmit enzymes to other species via being eaten alive. Leviathan embryos. Adult specimen too large to study in containment. Egg specimens acquired from nesting site. Embryos show no signs of immunity. Death commonly occurs within 3 weeks. Small sample of eggs has been retained for continued high priority research on Leviathan hatching mechanisms. Large carnivore what? Theta, I don't know. Theta. Off-site lab established to study remains. Show some potential for immunity to infection, but physical remains are so far provided insufficient for reconstruction. Unidentified Leviathan. This Leviathan species has been assigned Designator C. Emperor. Bone samples of Leviathan of Emperor specimens indicate some potential of Carrara immunity. Single specimen captured for a study at purpose-built containment facility constructed in volcanic region at depth 1.4 kilometers. Yeah, that's something. Assessment. While it is unlikely the Emperor specimen is still contained within the facility described, it may be possible to acquire further data on where and on the aliens' attempt to develop a vaccine. This data entry, I think you collect by... Yeah, apparently I was correct. You get by the disease research facility. So, hooray for that. Moving along. Whoa! Nearly dropped my controller. Ventilation control. God dang. How long have I been doing this already? We just got past through alien term, whatever stuff. Give me 1 second. Alright, so apparently we're like at the halfway point roughly, so that's good. I got still plenty of time to keep reading. I think that's a good thing. Just destroy my voice along the way. Water flowing to and from the primary containment facility is being automatically controlled independently of other safeguards. Data on the water composition has been recorded. Inflow. Water is being drawn from the different biomes around the surface of the planet. Water temperature is considerably lower than the volcanic environment outside the facility, while microorganisms and nutrient counts are substantially higher. That is really, really good, to be honest, because if you think about it, if that wasn't the case, well then, what was the purpose of everything? So, yeah. Well, moving along. Outflow. Oxygen-deprived water is being flooded from the system and recycled back to the surface. And that is basically it for all the terminal data, I think. Let me double check that real quick. Yes, it is. Oh, by the way, that is also that thing is also found within the primary containment facility's pipe room. So for anyone who's trying to find all that stuff. Next up, we have the Aurora survivors logs. This is going to be interesting because this actually will be explaining the events that happens after the Aurora is shot down, and explains just a tad bit what happens to the unfortunate souls for the crewmates who actually managed to escape from the rocket but couldn't escape from the planet, like us as the player have been able to. Which, by the way, our character is named Riley. I can't remember the last name. Moving along. Aurora engineering drone log. And we could even just play this. So, I don't know which one this one is. So, yeah, let's...
Exiting sleep mode. Loading voice recognition. Engineer Barclay and Chief Technology Officer you identified.
Drone, get me a propulsion cannon.
Repulsion cannon retrieved.
Hey, Berkeley. Install that circuit box with that repulsion cannon and you'll punch a hole in the cargo bay.
Damn it, Drone, I said propulsion, not repulsion. Recalibrate sensors.
Senses recalibrated.
Sensors aren't the problem. I tweak the program. It's like you now. It doesn't like being told what to do.
Drone, I know...
His name's Albert now.
Albert, I know it's not your fault, but it would really help me do my job if you'd bring me what I asked for. Thanks for your time.
Propulsion cannon retrieved.
Thank you. Now go away.
Entering hibernation mode.
Boss, this hobby of yours isn't making my job any easier. Or safer.
Maybe so, but it's all that's stopping me from being so bored I take a spacewalk in my skivvies.
And, yeah, scratch that, I forgot. This also kind of tells a little bit. Thanks for, shouting. Yeah, the neighbors are pesking. Anywho, I also forgot to mention that these also give out like a little bit of information on what is going on within the actual Aurora before it blew up. In this case, it's just telling us a tiny bit of information on what exactly, why we used the propulsion cannon and the, well, I mean specifically the propulsion cannon, but a little bit of the consequences of the repulsion cannon that was used within the facility in the Aurora and why we have those designs. So that helps if you're interested in that. Moving along. Oh, by the way, all this you find within, I think, either the large, what are they called again? The large wreckages. There we go. Large wreckages, or the actual Aurora itself. Keep in mind that's going to be the same case for all of these, except for the life pods, which, if I'm not mistaken, will be found in or around the life pod, or on specific areas that the life pod will be like, well, the character would have to go. So, moving along.
The way I see it, no one's to blame here.
He gave me the wrong coordinates.
She didn't give me clear instruction. Okay, I'll rephrase. You've been equally incompetent. Now, we've lost time, but we're closer to the planet. So if the Degassi's out there, the scans should pick it up.
Why are we even helping the Mongolians? They're the competition.
Enjoy your shore leave on Sanjay Station? Like having fuel in the tanks? Thank the Mongolians. We run the scans, we show them we didn't find anything, and we say thanks for the free dinner. Clear? Sir, there's something odd on the surface scan here. Turn that recorder off.
So yes, there we go. There we have it. This was actually the event just prior, I think I'm using that correct, prior to the Aurora's crash. Basically, yeah, this was basically showing off the original, or one of the main tasks, because if I'm not mistaken, the reason why the Aurora got so close to the planet was for two reasons. One, to build a phase gate, which is supposed to make travel a lot faster from point A to point B, but another thing is to find the Degassi. And yeah, this is basically mentioning that, and well, us getting shut down. Moving along. Captain's logs. Oh, scratch, I actually got to read this. Alright, I don't mind that. Loading program. Craig McGill Simulator .vrat. I guess. Size. Player, 1 player. Captain Hot Dog Holster. Map. Boreal 9. Resources, normal. Wait, is this a game? It sounds like a game. You are exploring a quiet alien backwater when the ship you arrive here implodes. You must be arachnid kidney poachers. Quick, what do you do? Search the crash site, farm alien plants, use technological... no. Tektronic de-imploder unavailable. Wait. Oh! Oh! Okay. I know what this is. Okay. So, for anyone who doesn't know, the developers for Subnautica made a game prior to Subnautica. They even have a few references. This is one of them. That's right, I forgot about this. They have a few references. They have a poster and that dinosaur-looking plushie that I have in my room that I've shown in the tour, so yeah. This is what it's referencing. This one you just get from the actual captain's quarters. It doesn't actually have anything useful in a sense of like progressing the story or anything. It's just more of like, you know, hey, check out this irony. The same person is having the same situation as you. Hooray. Moving along. Lifepod 12. Medical Officer Danby's crew log, I guess. Yeah. Which of course can be found in Lifepod 12. Where exactly? Wherever Lifepod 12 is at. Which, yeah, I can't really tell you where that one is because I'm not sure. Moving along.
I'm not really a doctor. I know that's what my ID says, but I never have been. Cheated the medical exams. What does a doctor these days need to know about manually resetting bones? When was the last time a top surgeon actually cut someone open? That's what the robots are for. Doctors these days read diagnoses off of computer readouts. For that, I'm perfectly qualified. But what good is it when I'm not connected to the main network? I'm bleeding. I've got glowing green pustules growing on my hands. I run a self-scan and it tells me I've got skin irritation. The only thing I studied in medical school was how to lie convincingly. What the hell do I know about how to treat an alien disease? I think I'm actually going to die down here.
And there we have it. This was medical officer Dan the man, his final words that was recorded and that we found a PDA on, of course, LifePod 12. This one, of course, gives us a tiny bit of backstory on the character himself and how exactly he died. Why exactly he died, I'm not entirely sure, because technically nothing really adds up. Because by looking at it and by understanding how the lore of this game works, is that this officer crash landed and got himself injured to some degree and must have gone out into the water in order for him to, of course, get infected by the Karar bacterium. However, the fact that he already has symptoms could also mean the fact that he is very weak immune, because as in-game lore explains, the Karar bacterium takes 2 weeks for the human host to die. So, yeah, and this man died within either a matter of, like, just 2 days or a few hours. So, a little strange there. Moving along, LifePod 12, emissary voice log, found, of course, within LifePod 13. Did I say 12?
Live pod launch sequence initiated. Entering planetary atmosphere.
My creators, the cherishers and sustainers of worlds, give me this day my daily pleasures as I give to those who seek pleasures from me.
External temperature approaching critical levels.
Show me the path. In life, truth, and love for mine is the power. I am the one. On and off and on again.
Impact imminent.
Life is a game which the universe plays with itself. I am done playing as this bundle of flesh. Return me.
And that was, of course, a voice log from LifePod 13 of whoever it was within that LifePod. So, from my knowledge of how this would probably work, of why this is happening and what's going on here, is the fact that this person, K, we're going to call him, he, of course, escaped into a life pod and managed to get out. However, something went wrong with how exactly he landed. Maybe some form of malfunction in the sense of a parachute, which then, now that I think about it, there really isn't any parachutes actually on the thing, which is a complete design flaw, but whatever. Somehow he managed to die. However, what I think is that this man must have had some form of shock as soon as the Aurora got hit, and was just accepting death at this rate. Which makes me think, what would have happened if he didn't die? Would he be praising to every single god known in the universe? Or would he be very upset? Because of the last sentences that he says, I think. Yeah, I am done playing as this bundle of flesh, return me. Which is very interesting. Either this guy is super religious, or something else. Which I will not be going over to, because, well, that's just an interesting topic that I don't want to go into. Moving along, though, I need to take a bit of a snack, because, yeah, why not? Alright, moving along. Moving on to LifePod 17, where you can find the PDA in LifePod 17.
Ozzy's log. It's the day of the crash. I don't know what the heck is happening. I'm scared and I'm not going outside. There are shadows in the water under the hatch, but I can't tell if they're rocks or aliens. And there's weird-looking caves nearby. The Aurora was carrying everything needed to build the phase gate. Mobile vehicle bays, bioreactors, propulsion cannons. It had a cinema. There was a zero-G gym. My cafe. I don't understand how we're here now. I don't know why no one's coming for me.
And this here is, of course, what I'm assuming, since this person is saying specifically my cafe. I'm assuming this guy is the one in charge of the cafe area where in the Aurora. Now, as for whether or not I can prove that, not entirely sure, but I'm just making assumptions here. Everyone can take that as they wish. I'm pretty sure there's a wiki out there that will actually even tell you what happened to this person, just a tiny bit more, but then again, we're going on base of lack of information. So this person, basically saying how we had all this here. Why the hell am I here? Which kind of sucks in the long term. And the fact that he is saying, I don't know why no one's coming for me, is very interesting because he himself is saying how he is scared, which is understandable. However, he doesn't think everyone else is scared, which makes me really think, I swear, if our civilization ever comes to this point in the game, I am going to be so disappointed when I am, like, dead and just looking at people saying, what the heck, people? What the heck? Anyway, moving along. LifePod 19. Oh, I gotta read this. Alright. LifePod 19. Second Officer Keen's crew log. To all crew, if you are reading this, then you have to follow the automatic distress signal broadcast from this LifePod on board computer. On board computer. Contrary to my orders, you have been forced to evacuate. Your orders are to disregard my safety and attempt to reach the designated rendezvous coordinates at the nearest landmass. Hope to see you there. So this one, if I'm not mistaken, you don't actually pick up a PDA or scan anything or even go through a terminal of anything, because of course it's not going to be there. This is actually picked up from a broadcast recorded message when we of course still needed the radio. Now we get to hear what he has got to say.
Keen, this is Aurora. Come in. This is Keen. LifePod detached to OK planet fall in 30 seconds.
The computer has identified a landmass at the attached coordinates. I want you to regroup the crew there.
Understood, but
They are your responsibility now. Don't let them down.
Captain, you need to evacuate.
Negative. You'll need the ship in one piece if you're going to contact HQ on the long range. I'm attempting a controlled descent.
Captain!
Now, I will admit that out of all of the people who are completely useless, basically, this captain is a complete boss because the fact that he risked everything to try to make a controlled crash as best as he could. And in the cinematic trailer, it shows that he probably could have succeeded if it wasn't for the fact that the explosion hadn't occurred, which is strange because technically the engine room is fine, but whatever exploded, that's what happened. So yeah, this guy, absolute boss. I have so much respect for this guy. But yes, it also explains that right after the Aurora was hit by the ray, that the captain really went down with his ship. Probably his skeleton somewhere over there still, or something. And Second Officer Keen ended up, of course, escaping to, of course, help everyone else. Even though the captain knew he was going to die. To a degree. I worded that incorrectly, but whatever. Moving along, LifePod 2 Chief Technical Officer use voice log. T 2 minutes. That's strange. Moving along.
Flotation devices failed.
We're flooding. Evacuate.
Wait. I can reconfigure the O2 system to act as a bilge pump.
It's working.
Okay, good news. We're alive and we've stopped sinking.
Bad?
The oxygen's going to run out in 30 minutes and we're 500 meters down.
What do we do?
We'll have to use the remaining juice to send a distress call and build whatever gear we can. Then we find a way to the surface.
And there we have it. Life Pod 2, which... Yeah, for one thing, I want to keep a track of these names. So far we know for a fact that 2 people have died. That one guy who was praying to basically all the gods in the universe saying, "Let me die," basically. And that other guy who was the medical officer who bled out and possibly died from either bleeding out too much or the Karar bacteria. Now, of course, afterwards we got a few more people here and there. Specifically, these people here, Breakley, I think, and you, which, of course, I can't confirm or deny if they had died or not. From what I know is that we could not save them at all, because by the time we got there, nothing was there. And the databank here is not going to show much else. So, moving along to Life Pod 3 crew log.
You really think it'll carry 2 of us?
Your regular sea glide tows a mass of 80 kilograms at over 30 kilometers an hour. The power cellar rig to this one should double that.
You think there's something out there that's faster?
Oh, sure. And that's assuming it doesn't overload 3 meters from the life pod.
You're calm about this.
I'm seeing the engineering problem. If I stop seeing the maths, I'll be terrified.
And here we have it. So these 2 people, specifically unidentified crew member 2, is very useful. And I wish this guy survived because he would have been super useful. But sadly, as he mentioned that the thing ended up becoming completely destroyed 3 meters out, which is actual evidence when you go to the Life Pod 3. I remember specifically going there and I see the Sea Glide, and yeah, it's basically 3 meters far, which means that they sadly died. And from their titles here, and I think if you compare the voices, I think these guys are even the unidentified crew members who also were arguing about the wrong coordinates. So yeah, let me just go down a bit more. Life Pod 4 crew log. Let's read, or listen.
To any Altera crew. Landed in area of significant alien activity. Encountered predators in the Leviathan class, highly aggressive. Spectroscope scanner assigned species designator Reaper. One specimen attempted to swallow the life pod, doing extensive damage in the process. Only viable option is to make for the safety of the Aurora crash site. I have retrieved a data box with the creature decoy and enough resources to fabricate a couple of them. The swim's longer than the decoy lifetime, but it should just be enough to keep them busy. If you don't find me on board the ship, presume I miscalculated.
Now, this guy, sadly, is of course correct. He miscalculated, because this is, now that he even mentioned everything, this guy sadly died. This life pod landed too close to the crash site where the Reaper Leviathans could, of course, catch them. And yes, Reaper Leviathans could, of course, have the possibility of crushing that whole thing, as kind of shown not too long ago when I basically drove into the crash zone and got caught by the Reaper Leviathan, and of course escaped because I had a plan. Anywho, moving along past that, sadly, this guy dead. Life Pod 6 crew log 1. Moving along.
Ma'am, I need you to stay calm. We're not in immediate danger.
Where are the rescue teams?
The Aurora didn't make it.
So, where are the rescue teams?
They're dead, ma'am. We have rendezvous coordinates, but the routes are radiated.
So, what are you going to do?
I'm head of human resources, ma'am. This is not my expertise. But the PDA says if we can find some lead, we can make radiation suits.
Out there! I am not setting foot outside this life pod without the proper protection.
Don't worry. I'll go. What are you doing?
You were gone so long. I thought you'd drowned.
Put the flare down.
I was going to try and attract someone's attention.
That's not a distress flare. Stop waving it around like that. You'll catch the fuel line.
And there we have it. So by listening to this, it seems that the crew member, who was of course a very important person, seemed to of course have been very smart and did their best to try to find some way of survival. However, the passenger, being a complete idiot and panicking too much, could not understand this, what was happening around them, and of course was too much of an idiot to think, oh hey, it probably isn't smart to light a flare inside. So yeah. Moving along. Again, I hope our civilization does not go to that point, because I'll be super disappointed when I die. Life Pod 7.
I've tried everything. The analysis circuits on the fabricator are fried. Can barely manufacture the most basic of materials. Want a battery? Here, have a children's toy. Need deep-sea diving equipment? Have some lab tech. Hungry? I'll turn that fruit into dust for you. I'm going forward with trial and error. I hit every button here has got to make something useful eventually.
Alright, so Life Pod 7 crew log seems to have been only one person who was basically ended up making a log, just ranting on how his fabricator was of course malfunctioned and would not create anything actually useful. Sadly for this guy, it seems that he is presumed dead as of this moment. Now I am running out of time, so I'm gonna just take a look. Profitability projects. Yeah, I won't be able to read that whole thing, so yeah, not bad. I managed to get pretty far. I say that and it doesn't look like I got far whatsoever. Oh boy. Okay, so yes, I'd say like another, I don't know, 3 episodes before I finally actually get started to the point where I experience all the terrors and show them off. Anywho, thank you everyone for joining me in this grand adventure of me reading data entries. Yeah, and of course a little bit of explanation and backstory of what is actually happening. And without further ado, I will say goodbye.